So guys, now I am going to be filming the next lesson in Unit 2, which is Module 1.6. And this is all about conversions. So convert customary measure units. And I'll also show you a metric system in this later on in the video. And so this is Module 1.6. And look at our learning target. And our learning target, I can use ratio reasoning to convert between customary units of measurement. And our vocabulary is unit ratio. So we'll talk about what that is in a minute. But first, I would like to show you customary conversions of length, weight, and capacity. Okay, so you can see over here, we have the type of measure, the length measures, the larger unit, and these are the smaller units in there. So 1 foot is equal to 12 inches, 1 yard is equal to 3 feet, 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. Okay, and then if I look at for weight, 1 pound is 16 ounces, 1 ton is equal to 2,000 pounds. And then if I look at capacity, I have 1 cup, which is equal to 8 fluid ounces, 1 pint is equal to 2 cups, 1 quart is equal to 2 pints, and 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts. Okay, so each relationship that is listed in the table is a ratio relationship. Because there are 12 inches 12 inches for every 1 foot. 12 inches for every 1 foot. The relationship between number of inches and number of feet is also, this is a ratio relationship. And the ratio of inches to feet is 12 to 1. All right? And so that is what a unit ratio is. A unit ratio is a ratio in which the first quantity is compared to 1 unit of the second quantity. All right? So the first quantity is compared to the unit rate or 1 unit of that second quantity. And each of the conversions can be written as unit ratios. So if I say inches to feet, over here, my ratio is going to be 12 to 1. Okay, 12 to 1, and that is my ratio. If I say feet to yard, my ratio is 3 to 1. Because 3 feet in 1 yard. If I say feet to miles, that is 5,280 feet to 1 mile. So 5,280 to 1. And that is my ratio. And that's what a unit ratio is. When I'm comparing 1 unit, I'm comparing the first quantity to 1 unit of the second quantity. All right. So what will it be if I am representing the ounces and pounds? 16 to 1. Because 16 ounces is equal to 1 pound. So 16 to 1. What about pounds and tons? It would be 2,000 to 1. So that again becomes my unit ratio. All right. What unit ratio can you use to represent the relationship between pints and quarts? So I know there are 2 pints in 1 quart. So the ratio would be 2 to 1. Okay. How about feet and miles? So once again, 5,280 to 1. So that's what a unit ratio means. Let's now convert. We are going to convert larger units to smaller units. Okay? Larger units to smaller units. So let's look at this one. And it's asking how many fluid ounces are there going to be in 6 pints. All right. So I can use a bar diagram to represent this, and then I will show you also using ratios. But I'm going to draw a bar diagram to represent 6 pints. Okay. So 6 pints. So my bar diagram is going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let me make this more proportional a little bit. Okay, so 6. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this is representing my 6 pints. Okay, this is my 6 pints, this whole thing. Okay, and then I know that so I'm dividing into 6 equal sections, and each section is representing 1 pint, and then I'm going to label each section as 2 cups, because what am I having within a pint? Every pint has how many cups? I have 2 cups within a pint. Okay, so I'm going to draw this just to show you what I'm doing. So I've taken this, I've got my 6 pints, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So within each pint, what do I have? I have 2 cups. Okay, so 2 cups within each. So 2 cups and 2 cups and 2 and 2 and 2. All right, so that is now as cups. My 6 pints has so many cups in there. And then I know that for every 1 cup there are 8 fluid ounces. Okay, so in every 1 cup I have 8 fluid ounces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If one cup is equal to 8 fluid ounces, then in 2 cups, what am I going to have? I'm going to have 16 fluid ounces. Okay, so 16, 16, 16, 16, 16. These are all fluid ounces. All right, so when I multiply 6 by 16, because that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I do 6 times 16, I am going to get 96 fluid ounces are there in 6 pints. All right, so this is one way of showing this. Now, I can also use unit ratios and equivalent ratios. So first I'm going to convert 6 pints to cups. So I know if I'm making an equivalent ratio, I know that 2 cups is equal to 1 pint. Okay, so I'm just writing the C for cups. So this is my cups and this is my pint. So 2 cups is equal to 1 pint. And so how many cups will be there if I'm trying to find 6 pints? All right, so that's the first thing I'm going to do. So 1 times what gives me 6? It's going to be times 6. Whatever I do to the denominator, I do the same thing to the numerator. So this is going to be times 6 also. And so I get 12 cups over here. Okay, so I get 12 cups. And then after that, I am going to go on and I am going to convert the 12 cups to fluid ounces. Okay, so I'm going to make another equivalent ratio, and I know that 8 ounces are in 1 cup, right? 8 ounces are in 1 cup. So, and we're talking about fluid ounces here. 8 fluid ounces are in 1 cup. So, it's asking how many fluid ounces am I going to have if I have 12 cups, right? If I have 12 cups. So I do 1 times 12 gives me 12 cups. Whatever I do to the denominator, I do exactly the same thing to the numerator. So this is going to give me 8 times 12, and I get 96 fluid ounces, and that's what my answer is over here. And whether I do it this way or this way, I still get the same answer. Okay, and so using either method, there are 96 fluid ounces in 6 pints. All right, so let's convert larger units to smaller units, and that's what we've been doing. And let me show you another example. Okay, so the question is, Marco needs to mix 1/2 gallon of fertilizer, 1/2 gallon of fertilizer, okay, with some soil before planting his tulip bulbs. How many cups of fertilizer? How many cups of fertilizer should Marco use? So I'm going to show you with a bar diagram first. Okay, so I'm going to show you with a bar diagram first. And if I'm talking about a gallon, all right, so because this is 1/2 gallon, I am going to, this is for 1 whole gallon. And then because this is representing 1, and since talking about 1/2, this is the amount that we are talking about, okay? And this whole thing is a gallon. This whole thing is 1 gallon, okay? And then we are going to divide it into 2 parts, because it's talking about 1/2 gallon, and this is 1/2 gallon. I've shaded that in, okay? If you can see that, this is my 1/2 gallon. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the number of quarts. There are 4 quarts in 1 gallon. There are 4 quarts in 1 gallon. So if I do this, I'm just going to show you step by step. All right. So in 1 gallon, I have 4 quarts. And then this is the part that we said was shaded in, which is 1/2 gallon. Okay. So this is the part shaded in. So each of this is 1 quart. Okay.
Pardon the interruption. Ms. Rykoff, if you are in the building.
All right. So this is 1 quart. This is 1 quart. This is 1 quart. And this is 1 quart. Because there are 4 quarts in a gallon. All right. So how many quarts are there in 1/2 gallon? There are 2 quarts in 1/2 gallon. All right. Then next we're going to find the number of pints. Okay, so we're going to find the number of pints. And for every quart there are 2 pints. So now I'm going to take this even further apart. And if I have this, okay, so in every quart, what do I have? I have 2 pints per quart. So 2 pints here. And I'm just going to write it down. Okay. And again, we are looking at this part. Okay. So now let's look at this. For every 1 quart, there are 2 pints over here. So we've labeled each section as 2 pints. And then next, we are going to find the number of cups, because we've gone from 1/2 gallon to how many cups are there in 1/2 gallon. So there are how many cups? There, for every pint, there are 2 cups, right? Every pint, there are 2 cups. So if I have this much, and this is my shaded section, that I have here, which is half a gallon. Okay, so what did we say? That 1 pint, there are 2 cups. That's what we're saying. 1 pint is equal to 2 cups. So for 2 pints, what am I going to have? I'm going to have 4 cups. So this is 4 cups. Okay, 4 cups. All right. So now let's look at this. There are 2 shaded sections that each represent 4 cups. And so there are how much over here in this part? Okay, then that's what we're looking at. And so we do 2 times 4 and you get what? This is 8 cups in half a gallon. Okay, 8 cups in half a gallon. So if I'm looking at this, this is exactly what I have done by drawing it out. Okay, now there's another way that I can do this, and I can use unit ratios and equivalent ratios. So I'm going to convert 1/2 gallon to quarts first. And there are 4 quarts in every gallon. Okay, there are 4 quarts in every gallon. So this is my quarts and this is my gallon. Okay, and how many quarts am I going to have in half a gallon? So this is half and this is my gallon. All right, and now when I'm doing this, I know that if I am looking at this, 1 divided by 1/2, right? 1 divided by 2 is going to give me 1/2, right? So 1 divided by 2 is going to give me 1/2. That's how I get 1/2. So whatever I do to the denominator, I'm going to do exactly the same thing to the numerator, the divided by 2. And I get how many? 2 quarts. All right? And then I'm going to convert the quarts to pints. And I know that they are how many? I have 2 pints in 1 quart. So I have 2 pints in 1 quart. So this is my pints and this is my quarts. Okay, so 2 pints in 1 quart. So therefore, how many pints in, how much do I have? In 2 quarts, in 2 quarts. All right. And so what do I do here? I then multiply with 2 because 1 times 2 gives me 2. Same thing over here and I get 4 pints. Then I'm going to convert 4 pints to cups. So there are 2 cups in every pint. So 2 cups in every pint. So this is my cups and this is pint. Okay, so how many cups if I have 4 pints? Okay, and so now what do? I do 1 times 4 is going to give me 4. I've created an equivalent ratio. And whatever I do to the denominator, same thing here. And I do times 4. And I get 2 times 4, which is 8 cups. So therefore, my answer, same thing again, 8 cups in 1/2 gallon, in half a gallon. All right, of fertilizer. So this is how we solve this. Now, let's do when we are converting smaller units to larger ones. Right now we were doing the larger units to smaller, but now we are going to learn to convert smaller units to larger units. Okay, so let me erase this really quick. All right. All right, so You can use reasoning about ratios to convert a measurement from a smaller unit to a larger unit, and the numerical value of the measurement is less when a larger unit is used. To see why, we are going to consider the following problem. Suppose you want to convert 24 inches to yards. 2 yards. Okay, let's say we are trying to convert this. So now we are going from smaller units to larger. Okay, smaller units to larger units. Okay, so let's look at this. First, we are going to use a bar diagram. I'm going to show you that method. First, we're going to find the number of feet. So we're going to draw a bar talking about 24 inches. So I'm going to draw a bar with 24 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay, so I know that this is 24 inches. This whole thing is 24 inches. All right, and then I know that 12 inches make a foot. All right, so 12 inches is equal to 1 foot, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So if I do this, okay, you can see that over here, this much is 1 foot, and this much is another foot. Okay, so this much is 1 foot, and that is another foot over there. So we have 2 feet in there. So 2 whole feet are there in 24 inches. And now we're going to find the number of yards. So there are only 2 feet over here. Another foot is needed to have 1 whole yard, because 1 yard is equal to what? It's equal to 3 feet. So what I'm going to do is I am going to add on another foot over here. This is just 12. So 12 and 12, 24. So this much is 2 feet. So I'm going to add on another 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so this whole thing now is 1 yard. This whole thing is 1 yard. Okay, but what do I have right now? I have this whole thing. Okay, this much I have. This is 24 inches. Okay, so look at what I've drawn out. So there are only 2 out of the 3 sections over here, because this is my first section, this is my second section, and then 2 out of the 3 over here that are shaded in. So they are 24 inches in 2/3 yards. So how many inches? They are 24 inches, as you can see, in 2 out of the 3, because 2 feet out of the 3. Okay, so in 2 out of 3, or 2/3 yard. Okay, so this is by showing you with a bar diagram. We can also use unit ratios and equivalent ratios. So what I can do over here, we know that we're going to convert 24 inches to feet, and there are 12 inches in every 1 foot. So 12 inches in 1 foot. All right, so what we're going to do now, we're going to see how many feet are in 24 inches is how many feet, and we can use any variable. Let's say I put that. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we can see that if I do 12 times 2, I get 24. Whatever I do to the numerator, I do exactly the same thing to the denominator. And 1 times 2, that gives me 2 feet over here. Okay, and so that gives me 2 feet. And then what we are going to do is we are going to convert the feet to yards. Because there are 3 feet in every 1 yard, and there are only 2 feet out of here, over here. Okay, so that is 2 out of 3. So there are 24 inches. So what is my number of yards over here? Once again, because there are 3 feet in every 1 yard, there are only 2 feet. The number of yards is going to be 2/3. Okay, 2/3 yards. So same thing here, doesn't matter how you do it. And so using either method, there are 24 inches in 2/3 yard. Okay. Let's do another problem really quick, and I am going to convert smaller units to larger units again. So I'm just going to use equivalent ratios to solve that. So let's say I have a question, and a male hippopotamus can weigh as much as 9,920 pounds. Okay, a male hippopotamus can weigh this much. How much is this weight in tons? So we are trying to see 9,920 pounds. How much is this in tons? Okay, so I know that 2,000 pounds is equal to 1 ton. So I'm going to write that ratio. 2,000 pounds is equal to 1 ton. So this is pounds and this is ton. All right. So therefore, 9,920 pounds. Okay, pounds can also be written as LBS. That is pounds, is equal to how much in tons? Okay, so there are several ways this can be done. Now I know that sometimes you're like, okay, what do I need to do to make this number? If I cannot understand what I need to multiply, I can do the reverse of multiplication, which is division. Okay, so if I go this way, what do I need to divide to get that 2,000? Okay, so if I do 9,920, if I divide by 2,000, I know that 4 times 2 is 8, right? So this gives me 8,000. And all right, so 4 times 2,000 and I get 8,000. And then what do? I subtract and I get 0, 2, 9, and 9 minus 8 is 1. Decimal above decimal, annex a 0, bring this down. And it goes, I can see that 9 times 2 is going to give me 18. And the 3 zeros for the 1,000. Okay, 0, 0, 2, and 9 minus 8 is 1. Okay, again I'm going to annex a 0 and I'm going to bring this down, and that gives me 6 times 2 is 12 and 0 remainder. So basically what am I doing? I have divided by 4 and 96/100 in order to get 2,000. So now once I do this, if I take the arrow in the opposite direction, I'm going to now reverse or do the inverse of division, which is multiplication. And I do times 4 and 96/100. All right. And that gives me 4 and 96/100 tons. And that's how I do my calculation. So the male hippopotamus can weigh as much as 4 and 9600 tons. Okay? All right. So let's learn dimensional analysis. Dimensional analysis is the process of including units of measurement as factors when you compute. And you can use dimensional analysis to convert from one unit to the other. Okay? So, it's also called the conversion factor method, which we have talked about. All right, the conversion factor method, that's what dimensional analysis is. And so let's say I convert 6 pints to cups. Let's use this method. 6 pints to cups. All right, so I'm going to write 6 pints. Okay, and I'm going to multiply 6 pints by the unit ratio. Okay, so what is the unit ratio? I know that there are 2 cups in 1 pint. That's what the unit ratio is. Okay, and then all I do is I am going to simplify, because this becomes what? Over 1. And I am going to simplify anything from the numerator to the denominator. So look, the pint and the pint cancel each other out. Okay, and then what do we have left? We have 6 times 2, which is 12. And what is the unit left? It is cups. So we have 12 cups. Okay, and then we are going to convert the 12 cups to the fluid ounces. So I take 12 cups, all right, and we know that this is equal to 6 pints. Okay, this is equal to 6 pints. So we're going to, if I'm trying to convert the 12 cups, we know that 12 cups, okay, times how many ounces are in a cup? We know that we have 8 fluid ounces in a cup. So we are multiplying 12 cups by the unit ratio, which is 8 fluid ounces are there in 1 cup. Okay, once again, I can write this as over 1, because we've done fractions and we can simplify anything from the numerator to the denominator. And so in this case, we are simplifying out the units, that is the cup and cup. And then we have 12 times 8, and this gives me 96 fluid ounces as my answer. Okay, so this is FL. Okay, so 96 fluid ounces as my answer. So this is something we had done earlier, but then I just wanted to show that to you again, that this method can also be used, and it's called the dimensional analysis. Okay, now let me quickly show you the metric unit. Now this was all about customary, and so now we are going to go into metric, because my other video also has all this information. So you might want to review that video also that I have filmed for you. Okay, all right. So the table is showing a ratio relationship for metric unit conversions, and ratios for metric conversions can be found by reading the columns in the table. For example, the first column shows that 1 metric unit is equal to 1000 milliunits. 1 meter is equal to 1000 millimeters, and 1 liter is equal to 1000 milliliters. 1 gram is equal to 1000 milligrams, which are smaller than 1 unit. These are measures which are larger than 1 unit. Okay, so now let us do a quick conversion. 400 grams of rice. Okay, for a recipe, and the rice is sold by the kilogram. Okay, it's sold by the kilogram. And you can convert 400 grams to kilograms to determine how much rice to buy. So we're going to use equivalent ratios, and the unit ratio of grams to kilograms is, we have grams to kilogram, we have 1000 grams in 1 kilogram. So this is grams, okay, in 1 kilogram. And that is the unit ratio. So I'm just going to write it out. 1000 over 1 is equal to 400 grams is how much grams to how much kilograms. And in this case, I can see that if I take 1000 and I divide this by 2 and 5/10, I will get 400. So whatever I do to the numerator, I do exactly the same thing to the denominator. I'm going to divide by 2 and 5/10. Okay, in this case, in order to calculate this, and so I'm going to get 4/10. Okay, I get 4/10 kilograms. Dimensional analysis method. Okay, so I know that 400 grams over here, I'm going to do 400 grams, that's what I'm trying to convert, is equal to, I take 400 grams and then I multiply it, okay, because I can see that 1 kilogram is equal to 1000 grams. 1 kilogram is 1000 grams, right? And so I am then going to simplify over here from numerator to denominator. And what simplifies is the gram and the gram. This simplifies out, okay? And then I can do this and this and this and this. So 4 out of 4 times 1 is 4 out of 10, right? Which is nothing but 4/10. 4/10 kilogram. Okay, and that is by using dimensional analysis. Reading the question, in France, the drinks are almost always sold in centiliter, with 50 centiliters being the most common size. A case of 12 bottles of water contains 600 centiliters. How many liters of water are in a case? So we are going to use equivalent ratios, and then I can also show you the dimensional analysis method. So if I'm using equivalent ratios, all right, so I'm going to say 100 centiliters is equal to 1 liter. Okay, so this is centiliters is equal to 1 liter. Therefore, 600 centiliters is equal to how many liters? Okay, how many liters? So I can see that I just have to multiply times 6. Whatever I do to the numerator, I'm doing the same thing to the denominator, times 6. So I get 6 over here as my answer, is my answer for this. Okay, now let's use dimensional analysis, and I will film that here. So 600 centiliters is equal to 600 CL times, I know that 1 liter is equal to what? Is equal to 100 centiliter, is equal to 100 centiliter. Okay, and so now when I simplify, the centiliter and centiliter cancel each other out. 100, what is left? 6 times 1, and so I get 6 liters as my answer. Okay, so that is my conversion. Whichever method you use, there are 6 liters of water in a case of 12 bottles. Okay, and then if you are converting between customary and metric units, I just want to show you what it looks like. Relationships. So this is again to convert between customary and metric units of measurement. Use equivalent ratios or dimensional analysis. And some common relationships are shown in the table. So you can see over here 1 inch, and this means approximately, okay, when it's written like that. So 1 inch is approximately 2 and 5400 centimeters. Look at this, how many grams are in 11 pounds. So I can see that 1 pound is equal to how much? Is equal to this much, right? So if pound is equal to this, right? So and I'm trying to see, you're trying to find 11 pounds. So it's approximately 11 to how much? So then all I do is I multiply, okay? So you're using your equivalent ratios, times 11, times 11, okay? And I end up with 4,989, 4,989 and 6/10. Okay, so there are approximately 4,989 and 6/10 grams in 11 pounds. All right, now let's do one where we are converting between systems. And let's do a problem over here. Look at this one. Again, we are converting between customary and metric. Shivesh is using square tiles to make a mosaic mural of the Lotus Temple in India. Each tile is 1 centimeter long and the mural is 50 inches long. How many tiles will be in each row of the mural? Okay, so we're going to use equivalent ratios, and then I'm also going to show you dimensional analysis. Okay, so if I look at this, the unit ratio of centimeters to inches is approximately 2 and 5400 inches. All right, so we have 2 and 5400 inches over 2 and 5400 centimeters to 1 inch. Okay, so this is centimeters to an inch. All right, so 2 and 5400 centimeters to 1 inch, and so let us make this an approximate value. Should equal how many centimeters if we are given 50 inches. We're given 50 inches. All right, so now in this case, all that I'm doing, I know that 1 times 50, okay, this is in inches, gives me 50. Whatever I do to the denominator, I do the same thing to the numerator. So I'm doing times 50, okay, and I get approximately 127 centimeters, and this is my answer. All right, now I can also use dimensional analysis. Okay, if I'm using dimensional analysis and I'm trying to find 50 inches, okay, so this is approximately equal to, and I'm going to do 50 inches, right, and I'm going to multiply that over here to find the centimeters to inches, and I know that I have 2 and 5400 centimeters in 1 inch. Okay, so this is my centimeters in 1 inch, And then I can simplify, and I simplify the inches with the inches, and I'm left with 50 times 2 and 5400 centimeters. So my answer, this is going to be 127 centimeters. All right, so using either method, Shivesh will need 127 tiles for each row. Okay. Now, let's do one more example. All right. So, let's look at this one. We are again converting between systems. All right. Red is training for 500-meter race by swimming 1 5/10 miles a day. How many meters does Red swim each day? So, we're going to use equivalent ratios, and we are going to convert 1 5/10 miles to kilometers. Okay. So, I know that 1 mile, okay, so this is 1 mile, and that it will be given to me the conversion. 1 mile is equal to approximately 1 6100 kilometers. Okay, so 1 mile is equal to 1 6100 kilometers. So therefore, let's look at this. All right, so 1 5/10 miles, because that's what we're trying to find. 1 5/10 miles. Okay, is going to give me how many kilometers? It's going to give me how many kilometers? So if I'm looking at this, what am I doing? I am multiplying 1 times 1 5/10, and same thing over here, times 1 5/10. Okay, and I get 2, and this gives me 2 415,000 kilometers. Okay, so that is my first step over here. Okay, next I am going to convert the kilometers to meters, and the ratio of kilometers to meters is 1 to 1000. Okay, so 1 kilometer is equal to 1000 meters. Okay, so 1 kilometer is equal to 1000 meters. All right, and so then I'm seeing approximately this one, 2 415,000 kilometers is how many meters? Okay, is how many meters? So in this case, I am going to multiply, because 1 times 2 415,000, whatever I do to the numerator, I'm doing the same thing to the denominator, times 2 415,000. Okay, and I get over here 2,415 meters. Okay, approximately I get 2,415 meters as my answer. So this is one way to do it, and then you can do dimensional analysis. Okay, so 1 5/10 miles. Okay, we are starting with 1 5/10 miles. Trying to remove the glare. Okay, is equal to 1 5/10 miles times 1 6100 kilometers is equal to 1 mile. That's how I begin. All right, then the mile and mile simplifies out, and I get 1 5/10 times 1 6100, and so I get approximately 2,415,000 kilometers. Okay, so this is what I begin with, and then I do the next step, which is using dimensional analysis, and then I'm going to be converting my kilometers over here to meters. Okay, so then I do this, kilometers times, we have 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer, 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. So simplify like this, and then all I do is multiply, and I get 2,415 meters. All right, and that's how I'm converting between the systems using either equivalent ratios or dimensional analysis. Any of those methods can be used, but y'all, I have also made another video, and that gives you a visual of the gallon man and the metric system using King Hector died Monday drinking chocolate milk. So that video is also really great in order for you to understand ratios, ratio conversions in the customary or metric system. And I have shown you also like other methods like cross products, etc. in that other video. So you want to check out both the videos to understand this concept better. All right, have a great day, everyone.